Multifamily Mindset.
Podcast. Think bigger.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Multifamily Mindset podcast, where we bring you guys actual insights into multifamily investing strategies to help you through your multifamily investing career, as well as just your personal life. So today we're going to be actually diving deep into just time management and understanding how efficient you need to be when using your time. And who other to bring into that than the master at it himself, owner and CEO, Multifamily Mindset, Tyler Deveraux.
What's up, bro? Kyle, thanks. Hey, so good, bro. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for being in here and making this happen. We keep pushing it back, and I'm excited to be here, bro, and talk about it. I don't know if I'm the master yet, but I'm working on it. I'm getting better on it every single day.
Yeah, but consistent improvements, right? And that's exactly it. And you just flew in from, where you coming from, Hawaii, right?
Yeah, so I mean, so think about this. We're talking about time management and schedule management. So like if you think, okay, so I went to do a 3-day training in Tampa, flew to Salt Lake to go snowboarding with my family, celebrate my wife's dad's retirement, flew here to do planning and stuff for, 2025, solidifying things. Then I fly from here to home. So it's like, it's busy. I'll always say busy. My schedule's very busy, but Nico always reminds me to say it's productive. You're being productive. And that's the key, though. That really is the key. It's like busy is not a badge of honor. Busy isn't productive, right? You can be busy and not get shit done. And I know that you've done it out there. I've definitely done it. Kyle, we have a conversation about this shit all the time and how he does it. But it's like, dude, it's getting results. Like, that's what we're in this for. So how do we maximize our time to get the results? And if we really get clear on the results, well, then you're putting your time towards the results, not this other ancillary shit that doesn't get you the result, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but you saying that, right? You just explained that you were doing work and you spent time planning, and you also spent time having a great time with your family, I assume.
Yep, it was a great time.
But I think, whenever speaking with students, speaking with people within the network, that's the number one issue that people have. Getting into this and creating your own business and having to now balance out your current 9-to-5 or what you're currently working on, and then trying to do your own multifamily investing, like, how do you really get that started?
Yeah. How do you start the business?
Well, how do you start managing your time for that business,
okay,
right?
I think number one is to get very, very clear on what you're actually working towards. Because if you think about it, there's so many things that we do that truly are not towards an outcome. So when I think of my basic, the what, why, how, I know I talk about it a ton, but I talk about it a ton because it simplifies my process. Like, we're going to get into some actionable steps, but I'll tell you at a basic level what I do. I list out, okay, what is this outcome that I need? And it's not a to-do list. Like a to-do list, man, if you're overwhelmed out there, it's because you probably have a lot of to-dos that are not actually even driving you to the outcome. So it's not that, right? It is, what's the results that I need to get done? And then what I do, so I have actions that get me to those results, but what are the most important results? Why is that important? Because if I don't know why it's important, why am I spending time on it, right? And that's the step that I always tend to skip sometimes, is like, because it's like, well, I know it's important. Well, no, do you? And so I force myself to write that shit out. Then I write it out. Then the how is just like, okay, how would I get it done? Boom, I brainstorm all these ways to get it done. That doesn't mean I need to do all those. Like, listen, if I can do one of those things to get me to the result, and it gets me to the result, who gives a shit about the other 9, right? It's like, it's brainstorming these to at least give me something to pull from, and then I prioritize which ones of those are the best ones to do, but I get it out of my head and purge it out of there first.
Wow. So I mean, you were talking about some steps that you were doing.
Yep.
Right. And you have steps that you go through. And what you were just explaining is you were talking about your outcomes, right? Your outcome list.
Yeah. So, I get on all these calls, I get on these meetings, and there's lots of actionables that are pulled from those meetings, right? And so I don't know, I believe what most people did, because this is what I did, is I had one list, and it was one master, it was a to-do list. And then how would I prioritize my time? I would go to that to-do list and be like, okay, what do I got pick up shoes from the cleaners, or I don't know, I don't clean my shoes, but I don't know why I said that. Pick up something from the cleaners. I got go to the grocery store. I got, this meeting. I got this practice with PAX. It's like, damn, it's all over the place. And so one of the biggest things for me was to remove what the action was and to get more clear on what the outcome is. Now, there's actions that get us to the outcomes, like I mentioned, but step one is create a master outcome list. Like, once again, not a to-do list. What are the major outcomes that you're looking to do? But from there, you actually prioritize it down to it or categorize it. Step two is categorize. And I'm talking about I have categories in my life. Like everything that I do is either in something to do with family, something to do with fitness, something to do with my investment company, something to do with my education company. And then I have sub buckets within those. But I categorize. Now, once I categorize it, listen, I have days that I work on different things. So I'm not going into like my to-do list that day and figuring out what shit to do. Nah, I've planned before, which we'll get into, but I know what category I'm working on, and I pull from those based on the day that I do it.
Well, okay, so let me ask you, right? A lot of us have so many different things going on, right? I mean, you're trying to start a business here.
Yeah.
You're not starting from zero normally. You have some sort of experience of something in your life that made you want to do that. But you probably have so many different ideas. Like, how do you get that going? I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about organizing it, but I don't even know what's in there.
So it's getting it out. What's in here?
Exactly. What's in your head?
Yes. So getting it out, man. And I will take these times where I will literally just purge the brain. And I do keep, a list of shit that needs to get done. But it's overwhelming if I just look at it that way. But I will literally, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's for a reason. So I ask it, which happens all the time, dude. There's so many things that, come across your plate, or so many things when you look at it from a high level that it's like, oh my gosh, I just don't understand how I'm ever going to get that done. But it's because you're looking at this huge piece of the puzzle, this huge puzzle instead of the piece that you're working on. So number one, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's because you're looking at this bigger picture instead of bringing it down into what actually needs to happen right now. Okay, so number one, I purged my brain. What's all the shit? And literally, I can show you notes, bro. Like in my Evernote, I usually do it in my Evernote or on a whiteboard. And I can show you, I ask the question, why am I overwhelmed? And then I just purge out of my brain all the things that are outcomes or things that I need to get done. But I just get it out there so I can see it. Because when you do that, whew, you'll be like, well, no wonder, man, I had a panic attack, But then you look at those. This is the power, though. Once it's there and I can categorize it, once again, 7 categories is typically what I do. No more. If you have more than 7 to 10, you're way too spread thin. So what are the most important categories of your life? Like if you just took that, if there's an actionable that I could give you today, that you were to ask yourself, what are the most important categories of your life? What are they for you? Like truly figure those things out, and now you can start to categorize these things. Okay. Then from there, I look at these things that I've just categorized and written out. I'm like, okay, which ones of these are like top priority? And the problem is all of them seem like top priorities, right? But I will force myself, because it's a reflection, dude. I will force myself to go through and I will literally circle all the things that this is number one top priority. And then I'll sit back at my desk and be like, well, I just circled 95% of all that shit. So I'm like, I gotta force myself to get more clear on what the actual true priority is. So how do I determine what the actual true priority is? Well, I have bigger target goals that I'm working towards. So I set annual goals, cool. But the key is within the quarterly goals that I set that help me get to the annual goals. Everything should be driving to a bigger purpose, right? So you set this long term and then you reverse engineer back. And interrupt me anytime because I know I'm just talking a lot.
Absolutely. It's gold.
Okay. Then I reverse engineer it back. Okay, I want to, we were just in a meeting for the fulfillment, Lullaby is the name of the project, but it's our fulfillment model. There's lots of things. Like if you truly saw the whole thing, the whole vision with the fulfillment model, I got a big vision for that. But that's overwhelming if you look at it that way. So you bring it down into, okay, what do I want to accomplish this year, this quarter, this month, this week, today, right? So I have all this shit out there. It's all categorized. And now I force myself to get very clear. And it's like, okay, which one of these, because sometimes the easiest thing is to remove. Which one of these things is on here is not in line with one of my outcome goals. It doesn't mean I need to remove it from my list. What it means is I need to separate it out, that I can be very clear that all these things over here they might be important. They might even be a top priority, but they are not in line with any of my outcomes. So if they're not in line with my outcomes, I set those outcomes for a reason. So now I need to figure out what to do with those. But if I'm taking all my time focusing on things that seem important but don't give me the result that I want, what am I doing? Life's too short, So step 1, brain dump. Step 2, categorize. And then step 3, prioritize. And that priority is ranking 1 through 4. And that 1 through 4 is literally top priority, important, or delegate. And then number 4 is dump. So delegate can be like, okay, am I truly the only person that can do this thing? No. I mean, some things, yes. Some things I am the only person that can do that. Cool. That one I'm going to, is important. That's top priority that I need to do. Something I can delegate. Okay, I shouldn't be doing those kind of things. And no matter what level you're at, you have things that you spend your time doing that you shouldn't be doing. Like mowing the lawn. Should you really be mowing the lawn? Have you really calculated your time on how much time you spend mowing your lawn versus have somebody else mow the lawn? Cleaning your house, should you really be doing it? I clean my house, but do I do my deep clean and my toilets no, I do not do that. Have I always not done that? Literally almost from the very beginning of starting this, that was key. Because, dude, I started this when I became a dad. I'm starting a business. I have other priorities. It's I'm trying to learn and grow and build. I got to prioritize. And so if I'm going to prioritize, that means, okay, what is something that I can cut financially so that I can afford this that opens me up more time to create this? It's it's putting a puzzle together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think where a lot of people get lost, and I'll even throw myself in that included, is to where you're sitting there and you're trying to play this balancing act, right? And I feel like you have to prioritize your current 9 to 5. So how are you able to, when starting a business, you had your current job that you were working,
Yep.
You had your kids is another 9 to 5.
Oh yeah.
Every kid is their own job, 2 jobs, working overtime.
Yeah.
Right. And how are you able to prioritize and say, hey, you know what? Pax, Marley, hey, maybe not right now. I got to work on this first.
Yes.
That's a struggle. It's a tug of war.
It's a tug of war.
Right?
Yep. I'm gonna give you an example, bro. It was Christmas, and I was working on 2 deals. This is in the beginning stages, and everyone out. We're in Utah, which is where my in-laws live. We're staying at their place, and everyone is we're there to celebrate Christmas, and so they're going to all these. They're going shopping. They're going sledding. They're going skiing. They're going to see the lights. They're doing all these things, but I'm working on 2 deals. And I knew why those 2 deals were so important, but I'll be honest with you, it was effing with me. It was effing with me because it was okay, I'm doing this to be able to spend more quality time with family. But by doing this, it's literally removing my quality time with family. What am I doing? It's a mental warfare. And so what do I do at that point? I sit down and I truly answer the question, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And there's been plenty of times where, I'll answer the question, why am I doing this? And it's I shouldn't be. And I pivot. But in that moment, as an example, I look at that and it's why am I doing this? Well, man, because I know that this might be a short-term sacrifice, but it's for a long-term gain. This sacrifice this Christmas is going to set me up for all these other Christmases. This isn't a sacrifice. This is an investment, right? And then I start to change the narrative. I start to change the language. I start to change the meaning behind it. Now I'm grateful. And really what I did is I reflected back a year previous when I started the business, by the way. And what I did was imagine a year ago. If I were to say, hey, a year from now, you're going to be working on 2 deals that total over 500 units, that's going to have, definitely the ability to change your financial landscape, I would have been missing lights. Who fucking cares? I would have been out of my mind about it, dude, because it wasn't even on my realm of possibility. But that's kind of how our life works. All of a sudden, something that used to seem impossible now becomes possible, but the work to make it possible is work. And so what do? We bitch about the work instead of being grateful for the opportunity. That's why I think gratitude is just a hack, right? How do I find gratitude within this? And how do I do that? I know why I'm doing it. If I don't, I'm dead serious. There's been times where I've been at the office, I'll be like, hey, Britt, I need to get some stuff done. It's a Saturday or something, you know. I need to get some stuff done. I'm going to go in the office for a little bit. And Britt's like, cool. We have lots of trust there. I go into the office and I'll be sitting there. I'll be like, hold on, why am I doing this? Is this truly top priority? Is this truly more important than this? Is this truly setting me up for something bigger? No. Britt, I'm coming home. What are you guys up to? And I go back. But it's checking in on that all the time, right?
Yeah. So you're telling me that really coming to prioritize your time and the action items that you actually have to take care of, that stems from what, your long-term goal?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. The bigger picture, right? Because there's so many things that if you don't have a compelling future, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, once again, towards a bigger purpose, a compelling future, first off, you'll never put in the work, but even if you do put in the work, you'll be miserable while you do it, right? It is not purpose driven. It's not the work that tires us out, bro. It's work that isn't purposeful. When we're putting in this work and we're feeling like we're just pulled to all ends, but it's not towards a purpose, we're not moving the needle. God, that's exhausting, dude. That's exhausting. And so I got to be very clear on what work is the literal top priority to get me to the outcomes that I have defined, and focus my time and energy there. It doesn't mean that I can't do other things. There's other things, that are outside of my top outcomes, but I will focus on those when I have my other milestones towards my outcomes done. When those things are done, then I can fill in the gaps. That Stephen R. Covey does this. He gave this example of, like, you give me this big vase, and if you put in all these little priorities, these little rocks like gravel or something, and then you have these 3 big rocks and you try to fit them in, they won't fit. But if you put the big rocks in and then fill the gravel in, it'll all fit. So you have to focus on the top priorities before you focus on all this menial shit that doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So getting back to that framework that you have, you had mentioned, prioritizing, but then we move into, well, how do you know how long some of these things are going to be taking?
Yes. So I put a time estimate on it, and I'll be honest with you, that's one of the steps. I can't remember what step, but it's a time estimate. And I'm probably the worst at it, if I'm just being real, because my time estimates are always off. Like, I always believe that it's going to take less time than it really does. But here's the thing, bro. By putting in this time estimate, everything is feedback, right? Everything is, if you're truly reflecting is so beautiful, because if you're taking an action and then reflecting upon, well, the effectiveness of the action, it'll give you feedback. Like for example, okay, let's say that I have these repeated tasks that I think are going to take me 30 minutes. And then I go back and I reflect and I review and I realize that on average, they're taking me an hour. Well, okay, I'm going to pivot with how I plan. And now I know that, okay, these things take me an hour, but I would never know that if I wouldn't have put a time allotment and then an actual afterwards. What did I project it to take me? What did it actually take me? Right. And then I can give, then I can continue to plan and be even more efficient because I know even more time frames around it. But when I look at this, it's like, okay, this thing might take me 3 hours of creative work. I'm not going to put that at the end of my day. That's something that's pretty heavy. Maybe I need to even break it up. How could I break up that big thing, that big outcome, into smaller outcomes to get me to the bigger outcome? And maybe I can do a third of it here for an hour, and a third of it here for an hour, and a third of it here for an hour, but I'm stacking them in a way that actually makes sense instead of completely just draining myself at some point. Right?
Yeah. So let me ask you, when you're breaking it into thirds, are you strategically placing those thirds that you're working at everywhere? Because you said you're not putting it at the end of the day. Like, why are you not putting it at the end of the day?
Well, I'm not putting it at the end of the day. Well, it depends on what it is, okay? Like, you have things that, like creative tasks as an example. Well, let me tell you how I plan my week, okay? How my week is structured. Monday is, for the most part, it's a me day. Like, I can do whatever I want on a Monday. Meaning I don't schedule. I do have one meeting that's a scheduled meeting, but past that, I don't schedule any meetings. If I want, I call it my creative day. So if I'm going to be creating content, if I'm going to be whatever I want to do, really, dude. And honestly, if I want to go sit at the beach, I'm going to go sit at the beach on a Monday. That's what I'm going to do. Like, but I have that Monday. I don't plan any meetings at all. Like, I have one meeting, but once again, besides that, that's it. And I can do whatever I want. Now, I'm very productive on a Monday. I don't just go chill on the beach unless I need it. Like if I need it, I'll go do it. But I'm very productive with my Mondays, meaning I'll sit there and I'll plan my week beforehand and I'll be like, okay, I have this open time here. How do I want to best utilize my time? Because think about how powerful that is. On my Monday, I'm taking time for me and what's most important for me and my growth, and that's my outcomes. So maybe that's something creative. That's what I love to spend time on, is that creative stuff, because that lights me up and prepares me for the entire week, right? But Monday's creative. Like I can do whatever I want. Tuesday is my meeting day. First part of the day is all MFM meetings, investment company meetings. Second part of the day is MFM meetings. Wednesday is recording, whether that is podcasts, whether that is, ads that I need to do, just regular content videos. It's all, or me either interviewing or being interviewed on podcasts. Wednesday's recording day. Thursday is open for meetings with team members who need team members. So you maybe not even know that, but Thursdays are open to any team member that needs a meeting. It's done on Thursdays. No external person that's not in my organization. Nobody is allowed to schedule a meeting on Thursday unless you're internal within my organization. Friday is open to external. Now, still, it needs to filter through Sophie, and Sophie puts it on my calendar based on, if it makes sense for me to take that meeting. I don't just take random meetings, but those meetings are scheduled for Friday. So now I know, like, you think of like these different categories that I have. Well, Monday is creative. And think about it, a lot of the things that I'm recording on Wednesday, I've already created on Monday, right? So that's my planning day to do all that kind of stuff. Tuesday is meetings. Meetings, I hate them. They're not my favorite, but I have to do them, right? They're important for my outcomes and to help my team, weaponize my team with those outcomes. But I split it up like that. If I have an MFM meeting and an investment meeting, and dude, it's hard to really gear my mind in that direction. So I split it up. Investment, then education. Okay. Wednesday's recording. I can get my mind in that mode. And when I'm recording, if I have a recording and then a meeting, out. It'll completely throw me off. Because energetically, those are very different things, right?
Yeah, and I was going to bring it to your next step that you have here, is that you had said energize, drain, and neutral. So yeah. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay, so like some meetings, not all meetings are, most meetings are pretty neutral, okay? But some meetings, for example, like today I had an attorney meeting for an hour and a half. That's draining. I'm not a fan of attorney meetings. Those are almost always a big fat D, okay? You know what I mean? It's a D. That is a drain, okay? Other meetings may be neutral. What is energizing? It depends on what it is. So like coaching calls, right? Those are energizing. I love those. I always love those. Those are energizing. Recording, for the most part, is pretty energizing. Like it's fun. I'm with Strat or whoever I'm recording with, or Kyle, right?
This is energizing.
100%. Like I love this stuff.
Good.
This stuff I love. And then so anyway, yeah, energize, drain, neutral, but those are the things. So the point of that though, okay, if I stack a bunch of draining things back to back to back to back, geez, dude, that's not going to be the way to go. Also, if I need a lot of energy for something like recording, I need energy, I need mental clarity. So if I stack something that's super draining, like an attorney call, right before I'm going to go on a podcast, I will not perform on that podcast the way that I should or could, because I'm not in that mental state that I should be, right?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful. I guess I never really thought about it that way, right? Just the energy that you take into from meeting after meeting to just any list that you're working through, any action items. That's extremely powerful. So is that really moving into, your final step is weekly planning?
And that's the most important.
And is that where it comes from? That
Yeah. What comes from?
So what do you have your meetings organized by? Hey, what might be more draining? What's neutral?
Yes.
Energetic?
Yes.
And that's how you schedule out your week?
Yep. So I have my whole list, right? My whole outcome list. And once again, it's not a to-do list, man. It is what is the outcome that I'm looking for. And I know you know this because I'm obsessed with that side. You guys do a huddle and, our top 3 priorities, and I nitpick the hell out of them anytime I'm in office. And I do because I will tell you, it is so much clear. If people can just get clear on what the outcome they're really looking for, it helps them know where to put their focus and their energy. Once again, we may be doing these tasks and these things. There's so many things that we do on a day-to-day basis that aren't producing any outcome, but we do them because it makes us feel like we're productive, but really we're just busy, not productive. Are you achieving the result? Like, I was having a conversation with an unnamed team member. They're like, we're doing everything that we can. And I go, well, no, you're not. Because if you were, you would achieve the result, and you're nowhere near it. So if you're nowhere near the result, what if you just, instead of telling yourself and selling yourself that you're doing everything that you can, I'm not saying you're not working hard. I'm not saying that you're not doing a lot. You probably are doing a lot, but you're not doing shit that's effective because it's not getting the result. So what aren't you doing, right? What aren't you doing that you should be doing to get you to the result? And it's like, see, sometimes we just want to talk about all the shit that we're doing to validate that we're doing a lot. And I fall into that category. Like, we all do. We're human, dude. But really, we're looking for the result, man. And so many of, one of your initial questions was, you're starting this business. You got to get clear on what your outcomes are. What are your true measurable outcomes? And truly be serious, or be honest with yourself. Are the things that you're doing getting you to those outcomes? Are they? What are the things that you fill your day up with that don't get you to your outcomes? How could you remove them? What are you going to remove? So many people add without removing. That is, there's a student, his name's Zach, and I remember seeing him at Peak, and he tells me, man, I just had twins. I knew we had twins, but he said, I have twins. He's like, Tyler, I am overwhelmed. And I go, what have you removed from your regular day-to-day? He's like, nothing. I go, you had twins and you haven't removed any other things. You just kept everything the same and added twins on there. Holy shit. Yep, you are. What could you remove? Sometimes, man, the best way to multiply is to subtract, right?
Yeah.
That's a quote right there. Damn it. That's the first time I think I've ever said that, but that's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, that brings us to another thing that, there are things that you're planning for. Ideally, twins is not a surprise. You've probably known a little bit and tried to plan. Now, there are other uncontrollable aspects that might pop up in your life that has just thrown your schedule out of whack.
Yes.
You already know what you're doing this time next week, probably this time next month, right?
But think about what happened yesterday. Yesterday, I'm sitting in the office, because I love this question, bro, of like, what happens with those things, right? Because sometimes there are fires that come up. And yesterday was one of those, man. We're in office. I have a whole day planned of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. We won't get into details, but I had to spend my whole morning doing something that was not planned at all. But do you know what was planned way before? My top 3 outcomes for the week. Come hell or high water, these are the 3 most important outcomes for my entire week. And if that means that I need to stay in the office until, midnight on Friday to finish that, I'm finishing that shit. But what you'll realize is, if you actually identify, and I do 3s, man. I literally don't do more than 3. If you do more than 3, you'll start to add way too much. Okay. But my 3 most important outcomes for the week. If I can identify my 3 most important outcomes for the week, then, okay, what can I, as I'm, going through something, what can I cut? I'm going to cut the things that are not in line with my top priority, my top outcome. And I'm going to keep the things that are in line with my top outcome. Right. So that's what happened yesterday. Yesterday, I cut the things that were important, but not a top priority. Right.
Wow. Fantastic. So,
and by the way, I do the same thing. Sorry. I do the same thing for my day. So once again, it's not action. It's not just to-dos for the day. What are my outcomes for the day? And those outcomes better be aligned with my top 3 for the week. Right. So for the day, these top 3 outcomes. And now, once again, things come up, but I don't cut out my top priorities. Those are my top priorities, man. It's my top priorities.
And that's exactly what I was going to ask you. On the day-to-day, you also have those top priorities.
Yes.
For every single day.
Yep.
So, and that's extremely powerful. So, and in terms of the rules of 3s, right, and we'll keep to that, as anybody listening to this podcast, if you had 3 actionable takeaways for them to bring from this podcast, what would that be?
One, I love this. One is to plan your week before it starts. Plan your week before it starts. And you're going to play around with this. I'll tell you where I used to do it. I think you said you do yours on Sunday.
Yes.
So I tried to play with Sunday. That's actually where I would love it to be Sunday. But what ends up happening with Sundays, Sunday's my family day for sure. And so I was not doing it. And then I found myself like scrambling to do it on Monday. But then what I would also do is, when I would start to do it on the Sunday, I'm trying to reflect from the past week and what went good, what didn't go good, what needs to be done, what changes can I make. It was like hard for me to remember because my mind wasn't in that mode. And so you'll play with it. And I've played on multiple things. The key though, I'll tell you when I do mine now, but the key is to do it before the week starts, before Monday. If it's Monday and you're just planning, it's too late. It's too late. So I plan my month and then I give, at a high level what I'm going to do each week. And I'm not shitting you. Like that's literally what I do. My quarter, here's how it works. My quarter, my top outcomes. Okay, this month I can fit these things in, but within those months, within these weeks, these top 3 outcomes, and those may change and pivot, but I at least have a frame, okay? Then I go into the week, I'm like, okay, I know these are the top 3 outcomes for the week. How am I going to fit those things in and then fit the other stuff around them? How do I make sure that those things get done and then I fit the other stuff around them? Now I do that planning session on Friday. I do it Friday right after lunch. And remember, Friday is my time to meet with people external. But remember, I'm also in Maui. And so most people that I'm talking to are East Coast. And so at that point, at 6 p.m. on a Friday, most people aren't there. So for me, my Fridays are pretty packed with some meetings. But by lunchtime, I'm wide open. And now it's fresh on my mind. I'm reflecting back, okay? What went great? What were my wins? And if I track those every day, so I can really just flip back and look at my biggest wins for the day and be like, okay. Oh man, I almost forgot about that win, and I tally those down. Now, what were my learning lessons? I tally those every day too. What are my learning lessons? Okay. What am I going to change this week to make sure that I execute better for the coming week? And I think this is where really where people miss it because they're not looking back they just get stuck in, well, this is just life. And life is busy and it's stressful and I'm doing everything I can. And it's just, I don't believe it. I believe that growth is realizing that you can do things better always. Every single thing can improve always. If you're just actually looking at it with a unbiased, you're not trying to sell yourself on a lens. Like, I completely shit the bed on this. I completely just wasted time here. And it's not in a way of beating myself up. It's in a way of, elevating myself to be better the next week. That's what life's about anyway. Continual progression, right? If you're continually getting better, these little things, man, you feel amazing, You might not be where you want to be, but I'll never be where I want to be because I'm always looking for something bigger. But I know I'm getting better, right? So number 1 is to plan the week before it happens, in the day 2. So the first thing that I do, you look at my calendar, the first thing that I do in my day, and by the way, I've also done this the night before, is to just review my day. So the night before, I'll review my next day, which I already have a good understanding of because I've planned my week. But it's a reminder, okay, these things. And then I'll just recommit the next day. These are my top 3 outcomes for the next day. I've done that the night before. And then I review them the morning of. These are my top 3 outcomes. Because if you don't review them, you'll forget them. And you'll get caught in the minutia, you'll get caught in the busy work, and then you'll look back at them and you'll be like, oh, damn. Well, damn, I didn't do any of those, So I review them, make sure I recommit to them the night before, review them the morning of, so that I remember if something needs to pivot, I still know where my top 3 are. So step 1, that's a lot for one thing,
Yep.
But is to plan your day or week before it happens, okay? Number 2 is to write your goals down every day. And when I say your goals, I mean your top 3 priorities. I'm big into 3s, okay? You don't have to do 3s, but I'm big into 3s. My top 3 priorities, and usually that's for my quarter. What are my top 3 priorities for the quarter? But sometimes I'm recommitting back to that week, and I'm writing them down. At a bare minimum, I'm writing down the top 3 for the day. But most of the time, it's my quarterly goals that I'm writing down and reviewing. Because once again, if everything that I'm doing that day isn't getting me to a bigger outcome, why am I doing it? I'm just making myself busy, not productive, results driven. And then number 3 is become accountable to somebody. I think it's one of the biggest blessings that we can give ourselves is to, I'm not talking about somebody who's going to be kind and, not kind is great. Like just nice and make you feel better about not performing. That's not it. Like an accountability partner is somebody that's like, I'm going to keep you accountable to the thing that you said you were going to do. Like you said you were going to do it. Did you do it? And it's not, it's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing because we'll give up on ourselves all the time. But if I know that somebody's going to follow up with me, if I know that they're going to like, dude, I don't want to let people down. I don't want to look like I didn't fulfill. And so like, I'll tell my team, I'll get on there and be like, oh, I know, you were so busy. And I'm like, no. You tell me, Tyler, you just made my life fucking miserable by not getting your shit done. I can't get my shit done. You didn't do that. Now I'm behind. I need you to do so I can do. Like, that's what I want you to talk. I don't want you to talk to me like, it's okay. I want you to tell me it ain't. I got stuff to do and I need you to do this so I can, right? Because I want to do that. So become accountable. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So just so I make sure I got this down right, you're just going through the steps, right? The first one, you want to just have a master your outcome list.
Yes. Just have not even master your outcome list, but have a master outcome list. So just something where you collect everything. You get it out of your mind and it's somewhere where you collect it. Yeah.
And then from there, when you have your outcome list, take all of that information and organize it and assign it to these buckets.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And then you'll take all those buckets and prioritize in each specific bucket, which is your top priority.
Yes, but also, so this is a great question. What are the top priorities within that bucket? But overall, what are the top priorities, period? Right? Because not every bucket's weighted the same.
Okay. All right. So you're prioritizing each bucket itself. All right.
Yeah.
And then you'll create a time estimate for every single one of those action items that you have there. And then each of those individuals, like action items, to-do lists, right? Then you're going to organize into energizing, draining, neutral. So you help to organize your days. You put all the draining things on one day or time, and you organize your time. Do you ever, just sidebar, do you ever have a more, high energy moment of your day that you prefer to have things in?
Yeah, morning.
Yep, morning.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from
great question too, bro. And that's going to be different for everybody. I mean, some people hate mornings, but that's morning time. Yeah. And so play with those things, Great question, bro.
Yeah. Morning just, to me, peaceful, gives your mind clear.
Yeah.
You just wake up, you get ready for the day. That's the perfect time to do that planning too. So, and then after that, you're going right into weekly planning.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, absolutely fantastic.
And structure them out. Once again, the key is to be dead set on what your top outcomes are, your top results are. And then understand that you're sacrificing in the now for a bigger future, which is actually an investment. Okay. It's like, I look at this goal achievement process is like riding a bike. Okay. Sometimes you lean one way, sometimes you lean another way. But if you know what the top priorities are, you can lean and get to the direction, but you always keep moving, right? You always keep moving. You're not just, if you stop on a bike, you tip over. So you maintain your momentum, and you do that by feeling it out the whole way through. Sometimes that worked, that didn't. Shit, I actually fell over right then. How do I make sure that I don't do that again, right?
Yeah, checking in. Well, shoot, this is absolute gold that you just dropped on us today, Tyler. I mean, we appreciate that, and I'm sure this is going to be extremely useful for everybody who watches this episode moving forward. One thing that I would like to mention for anybody who's continuing to want to learn and grow your own business, your multifamily business, or any business in general, continue listening in on this podcast. And the most important thing is, in my opinion, is going to be about making those connections. I do have to do a plug just because you're here. Just peak partnership.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll be there, of course.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
You going to give anybody any sneak peeks of what you're going to talk about when you're there?
I'm still trying to figure out my topics. I know everybody else's topics, but mine, I actually do a lot of talking to students, pain points to create mine. Yeah. So still figure that out.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll all tune in just to make sure we have that. For you guys to get your tickets, make sure you guys go to mfmpeakpartnership.com. But for now,
can I give one more?
Yes.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Tools. I want to give a couple tools, just a couple quick tools.
Yes, absolutely.
One is the journal. Okay. We use the Think Bigger journal, and I use the Think Bigger journal. Pretty much all those steps that I just talked about it makes it one simple spot to have it. Okay. Like the daily outcomes and the tracking your calendars and that kind of stuff. Number 2 is a Google Calendar. I live on my Google Calendar, and I plan things and put things and structure things on there because it's very strategic, right? And that's how I'm reflecting back to see where I wasted time or what went longer, what went shorter, what could I optimize, all that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is your Think Bigger journal, your calendar, and then your meetings. Any meetings or things that you have, you should do the exact same thing, which we have 5 meeting outcomes. Like if I'm going to have a meeting, if I'm going to be doing a thing, what is the outcome that I'm looking for that activity? And once again, does that activity outcome meet and funnel back into your bigger outcomes? So, tools.
Yeah. So with those tools, it just brought me to another question.
Yeah.
Do you ever block out your time outside of your Monday, like just for you?
Just for me?
Yeah, just for you in case, like as a just in case time block.
And what do you mean? Just for me, just in case. Give me an example.
Say you have a set of tasks that you're looking to try and get completed. Like this is your top 3 actions that you have for Wednesday. But come Wednesday, you just schedule yourself a little buffer, like extra 30 minutes, an extra hour, just to make sure you get those things done. Do you ever do that?
I do, but those buffer times it's not just I'm just going to chill buffer times. Those buffer times are very strict. I know if I'm getting into this buffer time, I've planned what I'm doing in that buffer time. Because the problem is people will get to a buffer time like, what should I do? Fuck it, I'll take a nap, That's not how I operate. It's okay. When I hit these things, so I want to finish meetings early because it's like a reward for me. If I can finish this meeting early, then I know these 3, 4, 5 things, usually 3 to 5, 3 to 5 things that I can go knock off and do. So I do, but it's also very, very focused and strategic of things that I'm knocking off when I get to those things. Now, if I can cut a meeting short 15 minutes, boom, I'm going to knock this off. Oh my gosh, I'm gaining more momentum. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sweet.
Shoot, cool. Thank you. You brought up great questions for me to ask. A lot of people go through that. Well, anything else that you want to leave the viewer?
Yeah. Listen, it sounds like a lot, but what's the bigger sacrifice? Spending a couple times to actually dial in your system and plan, or continuing to spin your wheels, be overwhelmed, and achieve no results? It's like, it is. The first couple times you plan, it's tedious because it's the first couple times you're doing it. But once you do it, you'll literally never go back from it. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, ask yourself the question, why do I feel overwhelmed? Get it out of your head, categorize it, prioritize it, and then plan it and remove the shit that is not serving. You do that, it'll make a massive difference in your life. You do those three things as well. Plan your day before it starts. Write your top priority outcomes down every single day, and then have somebody that keeps you accountable. I'm just telling you, it'll be a massive game changer in your entire life, no question. So, that's it. And get to Peak Partnership. If you haven't got your tickets to Peak Partnership, get your Peak Partnership ticket. We'll put the link behind, in the show notes. Get there for sure.
Yeah. So cool. We appreciate you, Tyler.
Thank you, bro.
So many golden nuggets there, as you always do. And we look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thanks, bro. Go share this episode as well.
Yeah.
Peace.
See ya.
Multifamily Mindset
Podcast. Think big.